I'm so glad you're here.
I'm so glad to be here. This is fun.
Let's start. Question number one. Who are you?
Who am I? That's a big question, Spence.
Oh, no.
Okay. Short version, short answer. I'm Kristen Carter. I am a KWYP member in Phoenix, Arizona. I've been a licensed real estate agent for 7 years. I was a digital photographer for a decade before that, ran my own business. But in the last 7 years, I've been on the same team. Absolutely love my team, love the leverage that they give me. And I love that AI is now a thing. And I've been teaching that for 2 years and slightly obsessed with ChatGPT. It's like my digital best friend. And then personally married to my high school sweetheart. We've got 3 kids, 4 dogs. We moved to Arizona by sticking our finger on a map from the middle of California. And I like wearing rainbows. There you go.
Okay. And that was great answer. Great start. You go bigger question. Who
Yeah.
are you? Who are you?
Ooh, see?
You told us what did you do? You did a good job. You told us what you do. And now, who are you?
Now, who am I? Okay. I am somebody who seeks knowledge and loves to share it with others. I really enjoy solving puzzles and solving problems and helping others do the same. I like digging in to find out what the actual problem is and then seeing all of the colorful solutions that could be and then picking one. That's how my brain works.
Yeah. Love that. Yeah. That's a good description of yourself.
Thanks.
You've got some self-awareness.
A little bit.
You show up. For me, it's problem solving. See all the possibilities. Why rainbows?
They're colorful and fun, and they show a variety of everything. It's not just one color all the time. And if you ever notice in an actual rainbow, it's not just the 7 colors. There's actually individual colors in between those when they mush together. So it's more.
Whole spectrum.
The whole spectrum.
Love that. Here's a question I didn't prepare you to answer, but you know the answer. The real estate agents, ADHD community.
Yeah.
You were the first one to just be like, hey, Spencer, I'm diagnosing you.
And guess what? Your brain looks like mine. You should be here.
You should join. What did you notice in me? I just am curious.
I didn't realize that I was the first one to tell you this either. I'm sorry for that, but I do tend to just jump first before thinking through things, hence ADHD. I could tell that your brain doesn't work in the same way that neurotypical brains do. And it definitely works in the divergent way where you see things and people differently than a typical person does. You ask really good questions and you dig in where others don't, and you can bounce from topic to topic and keep up with me. And that's hard to do. I was like, oh, after a couple conversations with you, I was like, oh, he has to be. I'm sure he knows it. And I apologize for being the person to tell you.
If you want to apologize, but I am so grateful that you did. We're on the course, and now Tyler in the ADHD community, I'm like, wait, I feel so just seen or understood.
And heard and understood, and that you're not broken, and that your brain is just a beautiful, wired differently than what is talked about for the most part.
Yeah. And then it's got me some language and some resources to be like, oh, body doubling. That's something that has always worked, but I never have a phrase.
You didn't have a name for it. Yeah, you knew it worked. You just didn't know why, and now you do.
Yeah. And instead of being like, I'm just a kid that needs somebody to hold my hand, it's not like just I need body doubling. This is just my brain works best if I have community around me and sharing.
Exactly.
In space, sharing a task. What was another
I
one?
think that's also one of the reasons why I like having the digital assistant is it feels like I always have, I'm not going to say somebody because it's not a person, it's a tool. But I always have that ability to have a conversation even if nobody else answers the phone. So I can just be like, oh, I just want to have this conversation real quick. And I can have it with ChatGPT and get my question answered or at least get it out of my brain rather than having to call somebody or text somebody or send or put it in my notes or whatever. It scratches that itch for me.
Okay, so then do you feel like if we just separate the whole world into parts. One is outward processors and one is inward processors. I talk to think versus think to talk. Where would
I
you?
talk to think.
Yeah.
I absolutely talk to think. If I'm processing something, my family knows that I will say it out loud and I've not made a decision yet. And so they also know that's their opportunity to throw additional information at me to potentially change my mind.
Oh,
They know how it works, which
and I
gets
think
them into trouble when other people aren't outward processors and they're verbalizing things. And my kids think that's time to argue with them.
your kids are saying this is I'm part of the decision making process.
Part of the
Mom.
process, right?
In there.
Yeah, the teachers don't think so.
Teachers know like my word is law. So I already thought this to talk.
Exactly. So yeah, it's led to some real fun conversations over the year.
So awesome. And tell us your kids' ages.
20, 18, and 13.
Okay. And there are some young professionals.
They're
One each.
we're about the same age. My kids.
And my kids are 12 and 7 and 2.5. But you and I are amongst the elders of young professionals, right?
I also started really young, so that's one of, yeah. But I am an elder in the Y Peak.
Love it. I'm grateful for you. You want to talk about AI?
Yeah, let's go. What do you want to know?
Artificial intelligence for real estate.
AI for real estate. Perfect. That's cute.
So where did it start?
So it started with me just screwing around with ChatGPT. So it had first come out, it had just been released, it was big news. So I joined the beta group to get ChatGPT as a beta user. And so 2 years ago, yeah. So it launched and it was crappy. Like it was so bad, it was so glitchy, it was all sorts of things. But I was like, you know what? Let's just see where this tech is and see where it can go. And I'm going to see if it's just a fad or if this is actually something that's sticking around. And so I just started playing with it and just testing its limits to see what it could do. And I didn't do anything with business at first. It was just for write me a poem, write me a haiku, write me a story, take these details and put them all together. So I was just like goofing with it. And then one day I realized it could write me something for work. And I was like, oh, it could write me an email. Okay, let me try that. So I had it write the email and it was lengthy and verbose and obnoxious, but it definitely sparked something. So then I was like, okay, what else can it do for me? And that's when a group of us started talking about ChatGPT and like what we're doing with it and how we're playing with it and everything else. And that's when Dylan made our ChatGPT mastermind group. And it started with just a handful of us, literally in there just talking and learning together because nobody knew anything and there were no experts and everybody was brand new. And so we jumped in and we just started playing. And then other agents started joining us and asking us questions and saying, hey, I want to learn this. What did you do? And so we took our hours that we'd spent on it and condensed them down into tips and tricks and videos and whatever we could do to help other agents to utilize the tech. And now 2 years later, a lot of people have just taken and run with it, which is so awesome to see. But then there's obviously still a group of people who are fearful because they don't know how to use the tech. They're worried about breaking it. They're unsure of just technology in general. There's a lot of reasons why people don't just power through and figure it out. Also, one of the things with ADHD brains is we tend to just go and just have action and we don't overthink often. We overthink things, but we don't always overthink things that we're like passionate about. We get excited, go down the rabbit hole. And so I didn't have any fear around ChatGPT. I was like, great, I'm going to push it to its limits and I'm going to try and break it. And I haven't broken it yet in 2 years. I still feel like there's people who just haven't fully jumped in yet. And so those are the people that I'm helping. The ones who just need an extra push, just need some extra instructions. They don't need a lot, but they just want that like little bit extra in order to take it to the next level.
Love that. I have a question around early adopter. Are you an early adopter in those things?
Yeah. Canva when it was brand new. I wasn't new to Facebook. That was not like, I didn't jump right on that, but I joined it when it was pretty popular.
If I will
Threads,
share
more
my
threads.
screen. Innovators.
I would say we are right now at that like early majority. We're like almost to the peak for AI and ChatGPT. Like a lot of people have started using it now. But we're definitely not through it. We're not into laggards by any means. But I definitely think we're in that like early majority.
Here.
Yeah, somewhere in that yellow orange area. Absolutely.
The tipping point, right? Where it seems
Yeah, that's the tipping
most of
point.
our population is using it, right?
Yeah,
Bell curves.
I think for the most part right now with AI, at least from my like random polls that I've done, is that people know what it is. They know it's there. A lot of them have used it. Most of them are not using it to its full potential. I would say a very small percentage of people are using AI to its full potential, including myself. I'm not.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of things I could do with it, but it's not my 20%. My 20% is still selling real estate. So this is just a side quest for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to see some really cool things with it over the next couple years. I'm excited for what's coming because it's going to make our jobs easier.
Yeah.
In the way, and here's my analogy of it, in the way that the internet helped us. So our job before the internet was big fat binders, getting your MLS sheets every week, looking through the notes, collecting keys from an office. Like technology just wasn't there. And then we got the internet and the MLS online. And so that removed that from our job.
Right.
Collecting keys was removed when we could do Bluetooth. All our doors are opened now with Bluetooth. We don't need to go to an office to collect keys. So all of that has made our job easier. So that's a tool. It's a tech tool. And people complained about these things. That's the thing too, is people complained that with the internet, no one was going to need an agent. They could find their house on their own. Why do they need an agent? With the Bluetooth keys, now you really don't need an agent because anybody can open a lockbox. That's not true, but that was the argument. And now people are saying with AI, you don't need an agent. You can just ask AI to guide you through. And I've seen enough of its hallucinations to know that's absolutely not true. It can't even spell February half the time. So it's not going to help you through a transaction and replace an agent. What it's going to do, though, is it's going to power that agent to be able to help more people and get more time face to face because they're not going to have to spend the same amount of time that they were on writing contracts, on writing emails, on doing their social media, on spending hours doing this back end stuff. And it's going to give them leverage to just be with clients.
Does it feel like cheating?
No.
That's my first thought. Because it feels like cheating.
It feels like an easier way to do things, which in our brains automatically is like, oh, this is against the rules. It should be hard.
Right.
Why should it be hard? Realistically, our jobs are being with people and being the experts and being the guides. That's the simple part of our business. And all the rest of it is the monotonous stuff. So why can't we make the monotonous easier? I don't think it's cheating.
Cheating.
No, I don't think
But
so.
I guess, yeah, if I'm as you were painting the picture of, I didn't live that world of the binder, right? Paper.
Yeah.
MLS, or if I had to drive to, where'd you drive to? The listing agent? Their office to like pick up the key?
I joined after the internet too. But yeah, they would drive to offices and collect keys for houses that were listed, or the listing agent would have to meet to open up the door. So yeah, it added hours to your day where you were having been doing monotonous stuff. So our monotonous stuff
fax too.
And faxing and carbon copies and writing contracts by hand.
Okay.
Like,
so
technology has bridged that gap.
Feature, yeah.
So this is just the next tool, the next step in that technology.
What's your favorite thing for a use case?
My favorite use case of AI? Ooh.
As a real estate trainer?
That's a good question. I think having it help me get different perspectives. So I can copy and paste a conversation that I'm having with a listing agent, and I can say, hey, read between the lines on this. Give me some more insight. If I know that this person is a high D personality, can you expand on this email for me? Or I can also just tell it, please rewrite this for a high I, which is my dish profile.
Translate.
And then I'm less likely to get annoyed by it, because if they're a high D and they're period, stop, sentence, whatever, that is going to read to me as angry, just because that's my personality. And so just flipping the script a little bit is one of my favorite things. And I do the same thing if I'm a high I and I'm writing an email to a high D, I ask ChatGPT to edit it for me. So then it gets the point across and it speaks their language. It's almost like a translator.
Yeah. Okay. So then we're just coming up with my triggers, right? Like I feel triggered of, okay, so when the person knows you and they read your email and they're like, this isn't Kristen's.
Oh, honey, you got to have it programmed so it sounds like you. Then you have to tell your chat, like you have to tell ChatGPT how you talk. And so either that is with descriptive words, or that's by giving it some of your writing samples. So I can give it some of my emails and say, hey, this is how I talk to people. This is how I text to people. These are my social media posts. This is what sounds like me. And then it will learn that.
So this is all ChatGPT?
This is all ChatGPT.
And the Pro
you
or
can do any others too. Gemini, Claude, Perplexity, pick one. Doesn't really matter which one you use.
But you're educating it. Is that what I understand?
You have to educate. Yeah, you have to educate it because it starts off neutral. So its voice is going to just be neutral no matter what you do until you give it modifiers.
We jumped all the way back. Give me a 30,000-foot view. Like, why ChatGPT or why AI? How did that start? Who invented it? Al Gore?
Oh my gosh. That's like a history lesson. I don't even want to go back that far. ChatGPT itself was formed by a company called OpenAI. And their whole idea was that they wanted to formulate this large language model to make it so humans didn't have to speak computer. They could just speak their regular, natural language. And the computer...
Meaning like the coding, right?
Yeah,
I want to go and
code.
to speak computer, I have to go and learn GCSS. What languages?
I want to see you come up with any of them. Go ahead. For $800 on Jeopardy.
Java?
What is a coding language?
JavaScript. The one I took in high school, 2003. They said, hey, computers are the future, so come and learn how to do it.
And we're revealing that we're elder YP.
Yes. And it was like the silliest idea for me to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to be a computer programmer. And I sat in that class and I was like, how come everybody else's screen gets the ball to jump across the screen? I don't get this.
Why is it not doing it? Why is it not doing it?
And he was the computer programmer teacher, and I was like, I don't belong here, but I feel like this has got to be my future. But I was like, can I just drop this class? Maybe I'll get by with a C, and I'm a pretty good student. I just couldn't get it. And here we are, hindsight, like I had French classes and like very quickly picked up that language. Learning computer language, I'm a human, and so I don't know computer.
Exactly what they were facing. And so they basically, the idea was that artificial intelligence has been here. It's been a part of computer programs. We've had it in our phones. Anytime you open up your Siri or your Android and it suggests where you go next, that's predictive AI. That's just relying on the patterns that you've already established. You've told the computer, hey, I open my phone at 8 a.m. At 8:15, I get in my car. Here's where I go. And so it sees your patterns and it goes, predictability wise, you're probably doing this. Let me suggest it. So that's really all it is. And so these large language models, what they are is they're a really highly trained computer. So it's a really highly trained database with a language model built into it to be able to speak with a human being in a form that humans are right now extremely familiar with, which is a chat screen. And it's just as simple as texting back and forth between you and this computer model. And instead of you having to learn to speak computer, they taught the computer to speak human. That's really what it is. And the way it works is it is, again, predictive. It is predicting what the next text should be in order to answer the question that you've asked. Sometimes those predictions go haywire, and that's how we end up with what they call hallucinations or false ideas because it wants to answer you. It just sometimes fills in the blank wrong.
Desire or it's program, right?
Folks,
I need to give you an answer, right?
I need to give you an answer.
Whether it's right or wrong, no data involved, but I will give an answer.
I'm going to give you an answer. I might
Us
take
as
it.
humans,
What is an And then us as humans go, okay, is this correct? Is this factual? Or is this a hallucination? So oftentimes you still have to know the data behind what you're asking because otherwise it could spout off something totally false and you're presenting that as fact. And we're still fact checking AI. It's not 100% reliable. But what it's great at is, like I said, synthesizing those ideas that take longer for a human brain to wrap around because it has so much knowledge to pull from that it can say, "Oh, I've seen this before. Let me build that to look like what I've seen before." Where we may not have ever seen the thing we're asking for, or if we have, it takes a lot longer for us to try and get it from our brain into words.
Yeah.
Because we're not all wordsmiths. We're not all professional writers. We're real estate agents. We're not marketers. There's a lot of skill sets that we just don't necessarily have professionally. And it's nice because then we can tap into this digital tool and treat it as our assistant who does.
So where do they pull the data from and where is there data that's off limits? Can I make my data off limits?
No.
No. Killing the game.
Too late. It's gone.
Did you write, if you were to say, hey, chatbot, is this like Spencer Development, would you have to pull some of my stuff? Or
yeah, it doesn't necessarily know everyday humans. It's not on.
Unless you assign it, right? If you were to assign, be like, hey, this is Spencer's Facebook post.
If I were to teach it, yeah, if I taught it all about you and said, hey, this is Spencer, this is what he writes, this is how he writes, write like him. I can totally do that. Like I can.
You have multiple, like, today I went to write like Spencer, like the same ChatGPT, and be like, hey, remember I taught you about Spencer Doll? Write like him.
Yeah.
And 10 minutes later, be like, actually write like me now, Kristen.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can do it a few different ways. You can do it in separate chats. You can do it in the same chat. You can start a custom GPT. So I could make a digital clone of a person. We've done that. There's a few agents in YP that I know have digital clones of themselves. And so they use it to write their marketing and it sounds just like them. Or sometimes they use it to bounce ideas off themselves just to be like, hey, what do I think about this?
I think.
Which is really funny to think of. And then there's all the thought exercises that you can do with ChatGPT. And I know people that really like using it almost like a mirror and they're asking it questions and having it ask them questions and then it analyzes the answers. And I feel like for a lot of people, it's led to some self-actualization, which is awesome. And some conversations that they may not have with other people, but they're willing to have with a chat.
Like a safer place to set the watch and self-explore.
I feel like it's the equivalent of an anonymous chat room or like an anonymous account on Reddit where you can put things out there and see what comes back, but you don't have to worry about it being on the internet forever. It's in a chat thread that you can delete. And as far as
deletable or no? Will the chat threads actually be stored somewhere else?
No, they're deleted.
Even if I
You can
delete it?
you can literally delete your entire account and wipe everything that you've done off the server. It's trusting that's the case. Do we know for sure? No. Do we know that anything? No. You put it's just what it is.
It's forever. You know that. Yeah. What?
Yeah. It's fine.
That could be therapist.
Could be. Yeah, I have people that are using it for that. I have friends who are using it as like a sober buddy.
How that one works.
Sober buddy? They just have a chat thread that they use when they're having a rough day and they go to ChatGPT and they just say, hey, I'm having a rough day. Give me some inspiration. Help me through this moment, whatever they need as far as that goes. So if they don't necessarily have a sponsor or they're not to that point, they can use ChatGPT for it. So yeah.
That makes me think bold law. My business grows to the extent that I do. Right. And so as real estate pros, we're humans first.
Yep.
And if we can use this AI technology as a friend to grow as individuals, then maybe we can show up and be able to, I love self-actualization as a phrase.
Yeah.
Fuels me to go forward.
So speaking of bold, you could also use it as a business coach. You can role play with it. You can have practice conversations with it as a seller or a buyer or another agent. You can give it a scenario that you're working through. So let's say you're door knocking for the first time and you want to work through what that sounds like. And you don't want to worry about your agent partners in your office judging you. You just pop into chat and you just say, you can say, we're going to do a role play session. You're going to give me an objection. I'm going to respond. This will be a back and forth between us. So please act like a reluctant seller who has interest in selling, but is hesitant for blah, blah, blah reasons. You can give it as much or as little detail as you want. And then say, give me 3 objections and then agree to the appointment. And there's a win coming, but you just need to work through it to get there. Because role play sessions, we always want that win. You can totally program your ChatGPT to be your role play partner. You can program it to be your business coach. You can say, hey, here's my business. Here's where I am. Here's my business plan. I want to double my business next year. What do I need to change? And it'll work you through the exercise of what to do differently.
What if I don't want to type and I want to talk to it? Is that an option?
That's an option. Yeah.
You can just voice to text?
You can do 2 things. So you can either do voice to text, which is just your regular chat screen and you push the microphone button and it's just like you're doing a voice to text for a text message. It just takes what you're saying, puts it right in there. Or you in ChatGPT, and I don't know about the others, in ChatGPT there is something called voice mode. And you can actually be voice to voice with ChatGPT and you can pick from 10 different voices that you want to talk to. It sounds like a person when you're talking. It even says an ah and it pauses and it's not robotic. Yeah, it was a little weird at first, but now I'm used to it. And it's like having your own personal Jarvis, which is fun.
So then what about if I wanted to look like a human?
If you want to look like a human?
Talk to me. I just saw a video last week, part of our CD. Like it took me a second, but pattern recognition. I was like, that is not a human.
There are apps for that. Yeah, not through ChatGPT, but there's definitely where we're on that edge of technology where we're going to have to think before responding of, is this a person or is this AI? That is really where we are. And I think the next thing that's going to come this year or next year will be what they call AI agents, which are essentially AI automations that you can tell them to do things. So the way we use VAs now, you'll be able to use AI as a VA. Because you'll be able to tell it, hey, I want you to log into my Instagram. You're going to go through and you're going to leave comments on 5 posts. You're going to post this. You're going to do that. And then it'll go do it. So that's where we're headed.
I'm still at the stage of a little bit scared of this.
Say please and thank you. So when the robots take over, they're nice.
I do. Every time I talk to my Alexa. Thank you, Alexa. I don't want to be on the bad side of this.
I'm not coming. I'm going to be on the good side.
Okay. Any final thoughts?
Thank you for having me. I'm excited for ToMeQ, and I'm happy to help anybody with AI anything or have philosophical debates about AI and all the implications of it. Because you can find me, it's super easy. On socials, I'm just Kristen Carter AZ. So find me on
for Arizona.
AZ for Arizona. So my name and AZ on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Awesome. Time of evening?
I will be.
I'm still deciding.
Perfect. Only 4 days away. It's cool.
It hasn't started yet. It hasn't ended yet. So the window of opportunity is still open.
I love it.
It's driving distance. We'll see.
That's true.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Love you. Bye.